Al,
Yes.
we are now in year 2 of our very fun, cool, informative podcast.
We are. I'm so proud of us.
We forgot to celebrate last week when it was like the 1 year,
Yeah.
which I realized after we had finished recording. I was like, oh yeah, we didn't mention that at all. Oh well.
Well, I was too busy ranting about frogs.
It's true. That was a very important topic.
It was. But also it makes more sense for us to talk about this being this in the second year this week because of the topic.
It's true.
Because it literally just like starts and end. Well, it doesn't end. This isn't the end of it, but it starts and begins anew with the same franchise. That's the word I'm looking for.
We started last year with a Danganronpa with a 3 in the title. We begin year 2 with a Danganronpa and a 3 in the title.
We do.
It's true. Hello, welcome to episode number 43 of the Seasonal Anime Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about anime, video games, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined by the best podcast co-host to have for an entire year.
Yo.
That's Anne Ladyem.
Hi. Thank you.
So I hope you guys enjoy this episode because we're going to take 3 months off and then do another one and then, pick things back up in January.
That's not what we're gonna do.
Let's continue the trend.
Not what we're gonna do.
But yeah, it was kind of appropriate that this topic landed in our laps the way it did.
Yeah.
In terms of
I
release.
Agree. It worked out really well. Really well.
It did. So yeah, we are going to talk about the latest entry in the Danganronpa franchise, Danganronpa V3, which just recently came out last week, September 28th, 6th, 8th, 7th, 4th, that's 26th.
Killing Harmony.
Killing Harmony on PS4 and PlayStation Vita.
Yep.
Hashtag Vita never die.
Neither of us played it on Vita.
It's true. Of course, it came out earlier this year in Japan in January or something like that. So, I mean, it's been out there for a while.
And somehow I've avoided spoilers.
Yeah, same here.
Year, and I don't know how I did that.
I mean, I went on lockdown and on Tumblr and stuff and blocked a bunch of I just blocked all of Danganronpa tags and stuff. So I was very precautious about that and still.
But I didn't.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just never saw a lot of people talking about it, which may have been indicative of what people thought of that game coming out of Japan. So
yeah, it makes a lot of sense now.
We're gonna talk about this game, in depth. We're gonna talk about spoilers. We'll do that later on in the program. We will give a warning when we do that, so it's not just here's what happens at the end right now. We're not gonna do that. That's mean.
That is mean. We will give you fair warning that we are going into spoiler territory.
I mean, unless you're just skipping around the podcast for no good reason and then just stumble into a spoiler, that's your own fault there. That's not on us.
Yeah, no, go in order.
Go in order. So yeah, that is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to start with some general thoughts and relatively try and keep things spoiler free. And it's hard for these narrative-based games to do that.
It is.
But we will try our best, and maybe this will just only be for 2 minutes or something, but we will try to give as general thoughts as we can. I'm going to start off with talking about how I think this game has a similar problem that Persona 5 had, in that it is long for the sake of being long. A lot of the class trials felt overtly long, especially compared to 1 and 2, which I can, you can understand because hey, this is the first game on home consoles, so you're able to take advantage of a lot more space to do things with. So of course, we can jam a lot more, activities into the trials and make them longer. But
I felt like a lot of it could have just been, instead of throwing a mini game in there or even some logic sections of it, it could have been just a choice rather than hey, let's make this into a big production, because a lot of the things I had figured out really, really quickly, and then you're having to walk the protagonist through the the trial and you're like, oh my God, really? Like, I have to do another of these mini games. I know what's going on. I know what happened.
I mean,
Come on.
that is indicative of like these games in general, but it definitely feels more
It
so
didn't go
this
on as
time.
long in the other
Yeah,
two games.
because it just feels like a lot of the class trials are padded out for the sake of being padded out. Like they're way too extended when they could easily be edited down to be more concise and, quite frankly, better.
I agree.
Because it really kind of hits you in the face just on the onset when the first trial takes like what 2 hours to get through.
Yeah.
And that, especially for the first trial, like that's way too long. I mean, I know my first time through, I think the first trial and the first Danganronpa, it was like an hour and a half. But even then, like 2 hours is a little bit too long for my taste. And it just felt like a lot of the trials were that way. A lot of the mini games were set up in that sort of way as well. Like the new version of Logic Dive took way too long each time.
I didn't hate the psych taxi though.
I wouldn't say I hated it. It's just getting from question to question was longer than it needed to be.
I agree. I eventually ended up getting a skill that allowed you to pick up more letters as you got the little letter orbs,
Oh,
and
would be
that helped
nice.
a
Yeah.
lot. But I can understand that. One thing that I did like about it, which is weird, is that whenever you got something right, it's like good in such a weird voice, and I love that. It made me laugh every time.
It was like trying to be seductive in like this weird, strange way. I guess I mean it's not spoiling like mini games. I guess like
Now,
Hangman's Gamut's back. I would say it's better than what it was in 2,
it is better.
because it's not just letters crashing into each other constantly and you're just like fumbling to get through it. This time around, it's like the letters are darkened and like a light will like shine through them every now and then. Like I put a skill in there to make it like that light coming through a lot quicker
I did that too.
each time. So I thought that
And
was
you can
better.
also hold X
Yeah.
down in the center, and it'll show you what's in the center, and you just pick the letters.
So like I thought that was a lot better. I mean,
It was an improvement.
I still don't think Hangman's Gambit is great, because there's times where like it'll ask you a question and you will have no idea what you're trying to answer.
Yeah, I had a few of those that I
Yeah.
was like, I have no clue what they want from me right now.
Nonstop debates are pretty much the same.
Yeah. The mass panic debate was interesting.
The only difference is that like they introduce a new concept of lying into the debates this time around.
Yeah.
But they took out the mechanic from 2 where you could like highlight someone's answer and then use that for something else, which I thought was surprising.
I thought that was weird too that they took it out, but I guess lying is kind of replacing that.
Yeah. And also you can use lying as like a way to get past a debate in a different sort of way than what the game is intending you to do, which I think they call like backdoor.
Mhm.
So
I never actually got that. I never did that, and I don't know how you did it.
I got it once just because I was stuck on one and I was like, I could not figure out what I needed to do. So I was like, I'm just going to try this. And it worked. And the trophy popped up. I was like, hey, you backdoored your way through this. And I was like, okay, cool. And that continued on. There was the brick breaking one, which I didn't think that was great either.
Yeah, I didn't care for it. You could have gone without that. That could have been like a select box, like what item is this?
Because that was literally all it was. It was like break these blocks, pick an image.
Yeah, that's literally. It could have been a text box. I hated that the sword game was back.
The sword game's bad.
I hate the sword game so much.
And like
because I always end up breaking the one that I'm supposed to use the other cutter on, and I'm like, now I have to redo this entire thing.
At least in like the Vita version, like you could I believe just flick the stick in a direction and it would slice, because it was similar, because like you could use the touchscreen for that. But with this, it was like you have to move the analog stick in the direction you want to cut and then hit like the X button, and it felt so finicky and never felt responsive in any sort of way.
Yeah, you had like the big circle that your sword was supposedly on, and you had to rotate it. It was dumb. It didn't work, and I hate that game. I hate that game so much. I was mad that it was back.
Trying to get like V triggers in that
Oh, it was
it's just impossible. So like I tried it for like the first time, and I was like, no, I'm never doing this again for this section. I thought the debate where everyone was like split down the
Mass
middle.
Panic.
Yeah, I thought that one.
Oh, no, oh wait, no, split down the middle. That one where
Split
you have to
opinion.
pick the split opinion. That one was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a real interesting take on debate.
It took way too long for the cutscene every time.
And they use the same cutscene every time. It's like, we don't need a reintroduction into this thing every time.
Well, they change it depending on like who's missing.
I know, it's just every time, like by like halfway through the game, I was just like, when that would come up, I was like, start and just skip that cutscene.
Yeah, I mean, like I get it. We're going into that, but I thought it was a clever mechanic though. It was cool that like it would show them split on it and how you would be able to challenge their ideas. I didn't mind that one.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a good addition. The Breaking Block one was not.
I thought the rhythm game at the end of the trials was a lot better than the first two games combined.
It was better, but it still wasn't great.
Because like, especially because the first two games, getting off rhythm was super easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then getting back on the rhythm was very hard. And I feel like they fixed that with this and making it, just like, timed button presses essentially. And I think that really benefited that in a way that it hadn't before.
Like I said, I still don't love it. One thing I did like though was the artwork that you get whenever it pops up. Like you get like this fantastic piece of artwork of whatever character you're having this argument with, and it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really, really enjoyed that.
I guess speaking as well of, my gripe about this game padding things out, the end of a trial when you are basically summarizing everything up in the comic book form, that takes forever to recap what you've just been through.
But you've had that in every single game.
Not to this extent.
You always do the comic.
You do, but like it's never been this long. Like if you were button pressing your way through it and listening to the voiceovers, it would probably take you well over 5 minutes to get through that entire section. And that's far too long to have a recap of something you more than likely have already been through or basically already know what happened. Like it doesn't need to take that long to get through a simple recap of like the events that you just went through.
But does it take longer because the trials themselves have been longer? So there's a lot more to cover.
I don't think so.
Really? Because I feel like they were a bit more complicated than like, especially the first game.
I mean, like there were in two, like there were times when you had like 10 pages of comics and it didn't take that long to get through them.
Okay.
Like I don't think like the murders themselves were like way more elaborate than any of the other two games.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the trials were more elaborate in the sense that like you had to go through every single little bit and you had to go through the backstory and you had to do this.
Yeah, but like that part doesn't necessarily apply to like the comic section because the comic section is just going over like the murder stuff. And that's basically all you're recapping.
There was some extra stuff and some. I mean,
true, yeah.
Like the lead up to.
Yeah. It just even speeding my way through that, like holding down the triangle button to speed through like the text, it still took way too long. Like it was just, it was terrible.
Also, the remix of that song was not great.
A lot of the remixes aren't great.
Yeah. That one in particular really bothered me because I love that song, and I was hyped whenever I had to like put the comics together because it had that song, and then this one was like, ugh, what'd they do? You still get the great art like once you get the comic finished. Like every single trial always has like the art of the protag and the villain or whatever. I love that pops up still, but I don't know. There were some positives and negatives about the trials. Which I mean is normal. I don't,
to be fair,
love all the trials and all the games, and especially the mini games can be horrific.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
But for the most part, that was not my issue with this game.
Yeah, that's completely true. I think character-wise, I think this is the weakest cast.
I can agree with that because there are some characters in here that I really, really like, but for the most part, I'm pretty like about most of them.
Especially like the last group you get at the end. Like, I really didn't like. I didn't feel like as much of a connection with like really any of them.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I liked two of them, but not to the extent that I normally like whoever you end up with at the end.
Because like I mean, with one especially, it's like, hey, this is your crew you were literally riding or dying with,
right?
And like to an extent, that's the same with two.
Yeah,
and like, but like with the crew of two, like you've been there together with them, and like you kind of know a lot about these characters. With V3, like I feel like two of them, I really still had no idea like what they were, who these people were, even going through the entire game, which is not that good of a sign.
Yeah, I can see that.
But like we said, like there was characters I liked in there,
but overall the cast was not as impressive.
Yeah.
Also, I wrote my own review of this, and I'll talk about this more when we get into spoiler territory, but there's still gross sexualization in this game, and I'm so tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's real bad and not okay, and it bothers me a lot.
It's just a shame. Like we should be past this by now, but
yeah, I agree. I mean, there should be some kind of level of maturity. Like I understand there needs to be comic relief, but does comic relief always have to be like sex jokes? And I think no.
Apparently, for some people, it totally is. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And especially like certain cast members are very, very much subjected to it.
And there's a level of vulgarity to this, to like some of the castmates in this game as well, that it's super over the top.
Like there are some times that a character will say some kind of phrase or word or whatever. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, like, did you really have to say that? That's gross. And I get that there is, like you said, some kind of vulgarity to certain characters, but like they go way over the line a few times. Mm-hmm. And it bothers me. I'll be completely honest with you. It bothers me.
It's unnecessary, basically.
It is. And I mean, especially with a game that has such a serious story as like a killing game, which I say that because like Danganronpa still is really kind of goofy, and it has its weird moments on it. It's not like a super serious game, despite the fact that there are killing games always. But like, I don't feel like any of that's necessary, and I feel like it really, really cheapens the game.
Right.
And the characters. It cheapens the characters a lot. And I mean, I say this as somebody who pretty often curses. I'm sure if you guys listen to this podcast, you hear me getting bleeped a lot. I'm worse in person. Like I do say bad words, but I don't say some of the stuff that they say in this game. And I was like, ooh. But a lot of it is also just like derogatory.
Right.
So I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. I'd say overall though, like, while I didn't care for most of the characters, the design wasn't bad.
Yeah, like a lot of I mean, overall, like for the design of the entirety of the game, I think it looked better than what we had seen previously. I mean, obviously that's a buy factor of getting to develop on PS4 compared to Vita,
right?
And getting that bump up in horsepower. But there is a very like there's a good aesthetic to this game. There's a good style to this game that really shows. I'm not necessarily sure like that I would put that up there with like best style of the year. Like no. I was thinking when I was playing through the demo, but it has like its own unique style, but also incorporates itself into like the style of the franchise itself.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate that this game sucks.
It is.
Like, it's really unfortunate.
It's bad when most likely my favorite thing to come out of this game is a bonus that you get at the end of the game. But even then, that bonus section is pretty tedious, just like a lot of the game you just went through.
Again, I wrote it in my review, but I don't usually sell games. Like, I still own World of Final Fantasy, and that game's terrible. I sold this.
Same here.
Because I played through it and I was like, this game is horrible and I will never play it again. And I honestly don't want it in my library. It takes up space. I don't want it. And I mean, that's bad.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I sold a game.
Right? Yeah.
Ugh. This game is not good. It's really, really not good.
It's a bad video game.
It's a bad video game, and it's a bad entry in the Danganronpa series.
Like, it's especially bad if this is your first game, because a lot of the stuff's not going to make sense.
Nope.
That they hit you with. And it's just, it's a growing trend of like, man, some of our most anticipated games of this year have come out and been super disappointing.
Yep.
And like we were,
ugh. No, you're good. Go.
We were talking about this off air, but like, there's been a weird trend of like these big narrative Japanese-based games, and it's the third game that the specific team has worked on, and for whatever reason or another, they come out and it's like they are definitely not up to par to the first two, and they're disappointing to say the least.
Yeah, and this is the only one of the ones that we talked about that I would consider a bad video game.
Yeah.
But the other ones were disappointing. And I guess for reference, if anybody's wondering, one of them is Persona 5. We also talked about Zero Time Dilemma.
Which I like Zero Time Dilemma. I don't think that's a bad game or anything. Like, I think it's a good game. But compared to 999 and VLR, that game does not hold up to those two games.
Well, and I feel the same way about Persona 5. Compared to 3 and 4, it doesn't hold up.
No, it doesn't. Like, I mean, I think I like Persona 5 less than I like ZTD, so like I don't necessarily know if I would do what.
I can agree with you on that.
Yeah.
That I like Persona 5 less than I like ZTD.
I don't even know necessarily if I would say Persona 5 is a good game. Like, I feel like it's more like this is an average game. Like, I liked parts of it. I didn't like parts of it. Overall, when I came out of it, I was just like, eh.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of eh. Like, if I were to give a score just off my head of Persona 5, I'd probably give it like a 6.5 or a 7.
I would probably go with like the 4 to 6 range.
Wow.
It's middle of the road.
Yeah, it's definitely not like 10 out of 10 Persona 3 level. It's just not.
If you were going to give Danganronpa V3 a score, what would you give it?
Honestly?
Well, yeah, honestly.
No, I'm saying just like honestly, I couldn't give it anything higher than a 3.
Which is something to say, considering, you know, this game got 10 out of 10s.
Yeah, and I love the other ones.
Yeah.
I'm new to the franchise. I just started playing it last year.
You're welcome.
But thank you. I'm glad that you introduced me to the series that hurt me so much with this game. But no, the other games were really, really good, and I would have easily given them like 8s and 9s. Easily. Even with their issues. Because they were so good. Narratively, all the characters, like, it worked.
Right.
This one didn't.
Well, okay. If we cut out the ending, because the ending is where we have the biggest gripe with this game. To not get into spoilers, but if you cut out the ending, how much would that score improve?
Well, I told you if I could just play through like chapters 1 through 5, then it'd be much higher.
Right.
I'd give it like a 7,
Yeah, that makes sense.
maybe a 6.5, between 6 and 7,
You got some like
because it still
crazy like
has.
20-point, 10-point scale.
Well, it still has issues with the characters.
Right,
It
yeah.
still has issues with like the gross vulgarity and sexualization. It still has issues with the gameplay. But I mean, for the most part, the trials are pretty good, and I liked where they went with that. And some of the story was interesting, but then like chapter 6 got there, and it was like, oh, buddy, oh no, oh no,
and
no, 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 no.
and of course, like, we had read reviews because the reviews went up a little bit prior to release, and one of the sticking points was like, this game's ending is very divisive, and
I,
for some people, like, they might not want to ever play this game again.
that's us. But it was weird because we're like, oh, haha, how could this be so divisive? Like, how would that happen? I don't know what's gonna happen. This is crazy, because like we were both kind of like joking about it the whole time,
Right, yeah.
and like trying to come up with theories. And then I got there and I was like, oh, I get it now. And then I beat it before you. And it's like, I totally get it now. I totally get it. I hate this game. I never want to play it again. I took it out of my system as soon as I could. Like, it was bad. And I was just waiting for you to get there so I could get your response, which you weren't initially as negative as I was.
No. Which we'll
Like,
get into
I
a little bit.
legitimately was, I was so
You were.
mad.
Which was very weird for me, like, because I hadn't got there yet. I was like, what on earth would happen? Because I was going through like a lot of different like ideas in my head of like, okay, what exactly would have happened to make her so mad at this game?
Yeah. And I mean, despite the fact that I'm kind of wound up all the time, like, it takes a lot to actually get me super mad.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost turned the game off. I almost turned the system off in the middle of the 6th chapter, just without finishing it.
Imagine if you'd done
Legit-
that and like, and the ending changed from like what it actually was.
I mean, it almost happened. I had hit the PlayStation button and was about to close application. And I was like, may
Already
as well
this
just
far.
right, like, I already got this far. I may as well just stick it out. And then like it didn't get any better, and I was kind of mad at myself for just not quitting then. But oh my god, it made me so mad. It was terrible. And then I had to like go and teach with all that in my head, and I'm like, oh, I was in such a bad mood. I hope none of them noticed.
Well, I think like my official recommendation for this game, or like my score, because I don't really do point scores.
Yeah.
I would give Danganronpa V3 a not recommended.
Yeah, no, I would never
Yeah.
tell somebody to play this game.
Which is it's a shame,
It
considering
is.
where this franchise has been, and then for this to happen, it's just like, oh boy.
I mean, I would easily say play 1, play 2. I haven't played Ultra Despair Girls, but I'm sure it's good. Play that one. Watch the anime. Both the 3 anime and the original anime. They're great. Watch them. Cool.
It's a shame the franchise ended after that.
Right. Oh man. Wow. It's like that one missing episode in the 3 anime. Like,
It's so weird that they never fixed that.
I know, but like, I would never ever tell somebody to play this game.
Not even your worst enemy.
No, I wouldn't wish that on them. Like, President Donald Trump could come up to me right now and say like, hey, should I play Danganronpa V3? And I'd be like, you know what? You're a terrible human being, but no, you shouldn't.
All right, before we get into spoilers,
All right.
I'm going to give you the would you rather that I teased you with before we started recording.
All right.
Would you rather replay Danganronpa V3 or reread Danganronpa 0?
So I already told you that I knew the answer to this,
Yes.
because it's an easy answer for me. But the thing is, I want to specify that like, I hate Danganronpa 0.
Danganronpa 0 was like the thing you hated in the series the most before this game came out.
Right, because it's horribly written. It makes no sense, and it's just bizarre. Although it did give us Culkin-kun, which is good. But I would read Danganronpa 0 like a million times over before I'd ever put this game in my system again.
It's telling.
It is. It's awful. Also, I know I mentioned it, but like the music in this, what the heck happened?
you know when you're subjugating New World Order to just like it's pre-trial music now, like you f***ed up.
That bothered me because that song is your twist song.
Yep.
You always get the good twist
which
when
like
that comes
they
up.
do use it for like I think a couple of times in the game for twists, but like it's soured because it's just pre-trial music now.
Yeah, no, it's dumb. It's
and
dumb.
the new version of it sucks. It's not great.
Yeah. No, the entire soundtrack's pretty poop.
All right. I feel like we've given enough general thoughts now. We're like, hey, you know how we feel about this game.
It's bad. Don't play it.
It's bad. Don't play it. We are now going to go into spoilers, and like by spoilers, I mean we are pretty much going to transition into talking about the end of the game. So if you haven't played and you are for some reason curious about wanting to play it, even though we just told you don't play it, you should probably turn the game off, the system off, the podcast off. I'll get it third time's a charm.
We're going to specifically tell you story bits by story bits why this game is bad. So if you don't want to know the story bits, then you should just
turn it off.
See us next week.
We'll see you next week where we talk about a lot more fun subject.
Yeah, or, go listen to the Sailor Moon Crystal episode because...
That's true. That's out there too. Or, go listen to our Danganronpa retrospective where we talk, we wax poetically about the good games. You can go listen to that.
Or the anime episode where we talk about the Danganronpa 3, where we began our roots.
Our roots. Where we're roots.
But don't listen any further if you don't want to know anything about the story because we are going to spoil the entire thing.
Yeah. All right. This is your final warning. If you're not out now, it's on you. You wanted to be here.
Yep, you chose this.
You chose this. They made the entirety of Danganronpa into fiction within the narrative.
Series. Oh my god. It's a television series, and V3 is the 53rd season.
It's real bad. Like, look, I am all for meta in video games. Not metagaming. That's a completely different thing.
Yeah, that's different.
But when you dive into meta, it's a very thin line to walk because you can either do it too little and just it doesn't really matter, or you do it like this game and you do it too far and it just completely f***s everything up. I
was so mad. Like, I don't think I ever stopped texting you about how mad I was.
No, you didn't.
While I was teaching. Because, as I mentioned earlier, I care a lot about Danganronpa 1, 2, 3. I care a lot about those characters. I care a lot about the Hope's Peak narrative. I cared a lot about the people who died trying to help these people. I care about Chiaki Nanami dying twice. I care about these characters. Nagi, he's wonderful. I love him. Hajime, yeah, okay, he's fantastic. Guess what? They're all part of a television series. None of them actually have a backstory. This is all given to them by a TV producer. None of it was real. None of Hope's Peak is real. Nothing that happened mattered, even though these people literally died. It makes no sense. And I mean, if there was some kind of indication throughout the other games that maybe this was not real, then like, okay, I can see that you're going here. I'll stop playing now. This is dumb.
I know the end of the narrative doesn't go into this, which is not great because it leaves so many like loose threads and plot holes.
It does.
Could you probably could, but could you interpret the ending as basically like the first two games, the Hope Speak arc happened.
Mm-hmm.
Someone came in and was like, what if we monetize this and made it into a television series and just ran with it?
But that's not what happened, because if you remember, the Ultimate Cosplayer says that she can only cosplay as fictional characters.
You're 100%
she
correct.
cosplays as Danganronpa 1 and 2 characters.
True.
So she's saying they're fictional.
You're 100% correct.
It's bull.
I'm trying to make this ending way better in my mind, and there's literally no way.
Possible. It's not possible. Like it's.
So we mentioned that when I got there, I didn't necessarily feel as negative about it as you did initially. Because when I got there, like, and she started cosplaying as like all these various characters from the Danganronpa universe, and I was like, oh, this is fake. I was like, that's a funny joke. That's real goofy. And like if that narrative of like, oh, they're incorporating even like LOL, it's Junko always, and all of that stuff into like basically a false flag of the ending, of being like, oh, hey, we're going to try and get you into despair by telling you you're fake, you're fictional, you don't exist. But then like the rug gets pulled out and it's all real. Like that would have been, the ending would have been fine. We would have been okay with it. But that's not what this game does. Like it basically just, it keeps repeatedly hitting you in the head with this narrative that, oh, everything's fake. This is a reality show. All of your backstories have been written for you. You are basically just shells of human beings that people watch. And
here's
that's all you are.
Audition tapes. Like the audition tapes they show them are like, yeah, I'm real excited to go kill some people, and maybe you should put me as this kind of character. And it's like, oh my god.
It's so hokey. Like there are parts of that ending where like I feel like if it wasn't wrapped up in all its bullshit, could have had good messages. Like the idea of the oversaturation of like agony porn type narratives like Danganronpa, like the Zero Escape series, like The Walking Dead, all that sort of stuff that's kind of popped up in the last like 5 years essentially. Like, yeah, there has been an oversaturation of that. The idea that this game is addressing sequelitis.
Yeah.
There's a good message in that. The idea that this game is even hinting at LOL Junko as like a thing. That's funny.
I did appreciate that. That was funny. And then it just went downhill.
But then it just wraps it up in this terrible, terrible narrative of like, oh, LOL, it's fake. Everyone just wants to watch you guys get to Hope. And then next season, oh man, someone's going to come back. It's just, like, I would have liked it even better if like they took like, they basically just stole the concept from Battle Royale, where it was like, you know, Japan has, you know, gone into this society and like they're like, oh, society's so horrible, we need to reform him, and we're just gonna grab high school kids and throw them into this killing game essentially. Like that would have made more sense. And I thought essentially like that was where they were gonna go at one point.
You would even ask me, you're like, oh, this is going Battle Royale route. I'm like, no, it's not, buddy.
Yeah. And just like it really feels like Kadoka wanted to make Metal Gear Solid 2, but had no idea how to make Metal Gear Solid 2 and horribly failed.
And it's weird because like I get that they're doing the whole like Danganronpa exists because you keep buying it type thing.
Right, like it's basically it would be a good point, cuz like yeah, these things exist because you do keep buying them. But to wrap it up into like the narrative of the actual game?
Yeah, no, it's pretentious and it's terrible and it's not written well. And it really upset me as somebody who cared about the series. It's because I was basically made fun of for liking these characters.
The idea that in pre-release material, Spike Chunsoft and the creators of this game were like, this is an original story. It has nothing to do with the Hope's Peak story in the slightest. And then by the time Chapter 5 rolls around and they're reinserting the Hope's Peak narrative into this game, that's the first flag of like, something is entirely wrong here.
Yeah, it's like, oh no.
I think this is something you said essentially, like that they had to reinsert that narrative in there because they were unsure of how to finish this game in a good way themselves, and basically there was no confidence in them making an ending that would be entirely good. They had to rely on that old stuff.
That's what I felt, is that they just didn't have the confidence to pull it off without putting something that had previously worked. Mm-hmm. But in doing so, they wrecked everything that they'd previously done. And I mean, like, it's terrible.
And the idea that they're basically just being like, oh, well, all of these things that you just did, like playing through 1, playing through Ultra Despair Girls, playing through 2, watching the anime. Hey, by the way, those were all just giant wastes of time. None of it matters. It was all fake. It's the most you a game developer like or any form of like writers has like given to a player in quite some time, and it's so egregious and disgusting. That,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is it like I felt like they were mocking me for caring about
it's essentially that, yeah. They're like, go yourself for caring about these characters and all this stuff that we made. And even then, it's like it's a cell phone on themselves as well, because like, man, we made all these good characters and these good stories. Us, we're just gonna make it all fake and retcon it. Like, why does it even make sense for them to do that to themselves?
It doesn't. I mean, they're like, the one thing that I appreciated about this entire bull was like the fake logos.
That was actually that was clever.
It was, but
there are clever parts to this ending, but they're so wrapped up in
it's terrible. And then like they're given the choice of like hope and despair at the end, as they normally are, and they're like, we reject both. We reject both of them. We're not doing this. And like, okay, that makes sense, but then stick to it.
Yeah, if they would have stuck to that and be like, yeah, we don't want either this or that, it would have been a novel idea and a smart way to end this game.
I mean, I still would have been.
I mean, yeah, but like a smart way to wrap it up instead of just being like the traditional, we're gonna pick hope, you guys.
Yeah. So they have a point where they're like, oh, we have to pick between hope and despair. We have to vote. The people want to know. And they say that they're just not going to vote. They don't pick either, which is supposed to end in their deaths. And they're like, that's fine. We sacrifice ourselves to end Danganronpa.
But they don't die.
They don't die.
And they have this new outlook on life, and now they're getting a second chance at life. And it's just, it's like hope rehashed bright, again.
Cheery. Like, literally, the world is bright, and there's like this hole because Kibo blows himself up to make them an exit. And they're like, yeah, let's go see if everything's actually fake or not. Maybe that we're actually real people. And I'm like, that's literally hope.
Yeah.
You just gave us the end of Danganronpa 1.
Again. Because they're the same thing. They don't know what's out there, but they're going to find out because they're together. Can I give my Metal Gear Solid 2 explanation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Metal Gear Solid 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. And
it is.
This game came out in 2001 and basically took the idea of narrative in video games and turned it on its head. With the idea that you go into this thinking, oh yeah, it's a new story of Snake. That's awesome. I love that dude. And then 2 hours into the game, you switch protagonists and you never play as Snake again in this game.
Which also happens in Danganronpa.
Which happens in this, which I was like, it's an interesting concept. The fact that they basically use all the pre-release material for Kaede and we're like, this is the protagonist. And then she's the murderer in the first case and she dies. And then you switch to Shuichi, which I didn't really like Shuichi at all that much as a protagonist, so that was kind of a bummer. And also the fact that you're taking your first mainline series game, having a female protagonist, and then killing her in the first case sucks.
It does.
It's real.
It really, really does. I didn't mind Shuichi as much as you did. Like, I thought he was fine.
He was just bland, I think.
He wasn't as interesting as Kaede.
Yeah.
Period.
Which even Kaede was kind of like, she was getting to the points of like being a Naegi parody at some point, so I felt like that could have wore thin as the game went on, maybe. So,
but I think that they were doing that because they knew she was going to die.
That's true.
So I think they were just trying to set her up as like the next Naegi, like hope kind of
Right.
person, and then like, oh well, she killed somebody, which she didn't, but still, she tried.
So back to Metal Gear Solid 2 for a second.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's
And
fine. We're going to get into tangents here. So you're playing as the other protagonist, and the basis of this game is that you have your main bad guy is the former president of the United States, also one of Solid Snake's twin clone brothers, and you're fighting a group of like baddies called Dead Cell. It's this group of supposed terrorists and all that jazz. Blah blah blah. You are one of your missions is to get this virus, insert it into the computer system aboard this giant battleship, essentially called Arsenal Gear, and basically try and disrupt things and make sure they don't set off a purified hydrogen bomb over New York City. Basically, they were going to throw a nuke up over New York City when this game came out at the end of 2001.
yeah,
There were some cuts to this game, by the way, at the end of the game. So
I bet.
because basically Arsenal Gear goes from being in the ocean to it's just crashed into Federal Hall. We never saw what happened. They basically cut all that out because of 9/11. Anyways,
Yeah, that makes sense.
one of the weird things about this game is that even though you're a different protagonist, the person who's giving you orders is the same person from Metal Gear Solid 1. The Colonel. And it's a strange thing. It's like, okay, well, maybe he's off doing this other thing. When you insert the virus into the system, the Colonel starts freaking out. And at one point, once you regain control of the character, which is a bit weird because you're basically naked. I mean, you actually are naked.
Yeah, you're naked.
You're naked. He literally messages you and you're like, hey, haven't you been playing this game too long? You should turn off the system right now. Let someone else do this. This is a type of role-playing game, isn't it? And it gets real, like, it gets real meta. And essentially, you'll get repeated codec conversations, and you'll hear, like, just random gibberish. I need scissor 61. He will reenact a call you get from the original Metal Gear. And then, essentially, you hear from the main baddie that the protagonist, Raiden, was basically selected to be a part of this program called the S3 Initiator. Is S3 program, I think. And supposedly it stands for Solid Snake Simulation, and it's a program that makes to make basically any Joe into the next Solid Snake. But you go through a couple boss battles and everything, and then Revolver Ocelot comes out, who is basically noted super duper double triple crossing spy guy, and comes and basically is like, so yeah, I'm from the Patriots, who's like the big shadow organization of this game, who basically run the country. And he's like, so this was an exercise, and we basically recreated the events of the first game. The Dead Cell people, that's the Foxhound unit from game 1. Solidus is the relationship. Raiden and Solidus' relationship is representative of the relationship that Snake and Big Boss have. Everything of this exercise has been done to recreate the first game. And also, before you sword fight the former president of the United States on top of Federal Hall, which is quite possibly one of the greatest boss fights in the history of video games, the AI comes back at you and is like, hey, we're not dead yet. We are still here. And essentially, the S3 program was it's like the selection for societal sanity or something, and it was basically a way for them to control like mindsets and control narratives, and basically be able to pick any person, give them a sort of mindset, and let them do anything they wanted. And in this case, you could make a person become a super soldier, essentially. And a lot of that game is also kind of weird because they're talking about, people on the internet, they like to go into their own little hive minds and then let out these, like, quote-unquote truths into the wild and see what happens, which makes sense why people call this a postmodern game and how people had, like, thought this game had relevance to the 2016 presidential elections and everything. So, but, like, essentially, that game deals with meta in a way that, video games hadn't seen at that point really at all. And I feel like this game, Danganronpa V3, essentially tries to walk that line as well, tries to go the same route that MGS2 did and being like, yeah, this is all fake. Nothing of this is really happening. It doesn't really matter. But the difference between this and MGS2 is like MGS2, you come out of it and you're like, okay, I'm still real. The world is still real. But even though like my narrative might have been falsified in a sense, I can take the events of what happened here, move forward, and walk my own path and go down a different road than what these people were intending for me to do. With this game, you don't get that resolution. You basically just get canned and just told, hey, everything that preceded this game and in this game is all fake. It doesn't matter. Who the cares? Why are you playing this game? You're just wasting your time. Go yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Metal Gear Solid 2 didn't basically mock you for liking the first Metal Gear game.
No, like, when I first saw that twist, I was like, oh my god, that is awesome. Like, it never, like, I mean, granted, I was like 12 when I first played this game. And, like, but, like, my appreciation for that twist is still, relevant 15 years later. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's awesome that the idea of, like, they snuck in basically the entire framework of the first game into the second game, didn't tell you until the very end, and you're just like, holy crap, they're right. But like you said, they don't crap on you for basically liking the first game or, Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. It gives you motivation to be like, okay, I am so ready to see what this series does next. With this, it's like, I am so ready for this series to be dead.
Yeah, I don't want there to ever be another Danganronpa because, for one, it shows that they don't care. Like, they literally don't care about the series they've created. They don't care about the characters. They don't care if I like the characters. None of it's real. Why does it matter?
Even if they do care, like, I think it definitely shows like a lack of confidence in the idea that they can pull off any sort of ending that can match the first two games. Like, which, granted, the idea of coming back to this franchise and creating a brand new story separate from everything that you just created is a daunting task. And
well, then don't promise it.
Yeah. Like, the idea that you're going to come back with this new story, like, you should probably have something good.
Yeah.
And make sure it's worthwhile. Like, the way this ending goes, it feels like they were never confident that they could ever surpass those first games, and the only way they could finish this game is basically just to on those other games.
That's what I got out of it, is that they just felt like there was no beating those games. So, like, well, we'll just make it so those games never happen. They suck. They're not real. Oh.
It's just, it sucks. Like, there's no two ways around it. Like, this ending is awful.
And legitimately, this game had some of the worst characters. I know we've already mentioned that, like, we didn't really care for a lot of characters, but there are some of the worst characters to ever exist in any video game series in this game.
Like, Miyu is essentially just like, I mean, she's internet culture, the character.
She is.
If you could find, like, the most vulgar and lewd things to say, which that's pretty much the internet in general, she basically says that.
Well, and she's constantly, like, making fun of people's bodies, and she's talking about hers. She, like, gets, I don't know, like, sexually aroused in weird moments in the trials because of, like, things people say. Like, at one point, she's called a dumpster, and she, like, loses her mind because she's like, oh, this is so wonderful. I've always wanted to be called that. I'm like, nobody says that. Nobody does that. Like, nothing about this girl is realistic, which I guess she's fake, so what does it matter? But
she's like an internet tough guy. Like, she's spouting off all this nonsense, and anytime you challenge her, she's like, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's awful. And I mean, she's just ridiculously vulgar. There's that weird scene where like they changed the art style with her.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was really weird.
And they
I don't
never do
know
it
why
again,
they
so it's
did that.
like, why did you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. It was bad, and I didn't like it. I'm like, ooh, you guys don't look good in that art style. It didn't make any sense. It was like they put concept art in the middle of the game.
Right. It was super strange.
And there was no explanation for that whatsoever.
No, none.
Like, they just threw it out there and left it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Like, this would be a good stylistic choice, but like, sure, but maybe explain it. Don't just put it in there for the sake of putting it in there, because that makes no fucking sense.
She's a bad character, and like, mainly I was annoyed by her because I'm like, there's really nothing redeeming about you. Like, usually if there's a bad character, there's something redeeming about them.
Right.
And I mean, I even joked with you that like these characters made Komaeda look good. And like when that's the case, ooh.
You know something's wrong when that's the case.
Right. Or like we talked about Persona 5, Goro, like I'd take him over some of these characters. When you make a character who like literally murders people in a game, and
you're just like, boy, I would sure like to see that character right now.
Right, like, ugh, that's terrible. And that's not even talking about the worst one.
I'm trying to make a comparison real quick before we move off of Mio. I just need to find the name of this character because I'm completely forgetting it.
What franchise?
This is from My Hero Academia.
Okay, I don't know.
Mineta is essentially, I guess, supposedly a self-insert character, basically by the author. The only purpose that character is basically just to be like stereotypical perverted high school kid.
Ugh.
And everyone hates that character. Like, I think even in the narrative they do, but like in the entire fandom, people hate that character. And it was like the worst thing in like the latter half of season 2 when they gave that character a redemption arc. And I was just like, this sucks.
Ugh. Well, and like Miyu also, I mentioned earlier that there's like gross sexualization.
Right.
There's like gross sexualization with her, but there's also like some borderline rapey scenes with her that I felt really uncomfortable with.
The one like, with Kibo?
Kibo. Mm-hmm.
That was uncomfortable.
It was so uncomfortable because she's like pressing herself against him and he's saying like, please don't do this. And she's trying to like modify his body. I'm like, this is, ugh. Like if you had made it seem like they do later in the game, say that he goes to her and asks for some modifications. And like when you do it that way, that's fine. But with him like protesting and her pressing herself against him, it just does not come across as okay.
Right.
And I don't know, it was gross. Like I said, she has a weird obsession with like breast size that makes me really, really uncomfortable. I have issues when people make fun of body parts that like nobody has any kind of control over.
Right.
Like, let's not make fun of that, guys. Okay, cool. Yay. And she even talks about like how Kaede has like a flat chest. I'm like, no, she doesn't. Like, no.
It really makes no sense.
It doesn't. Like, the entire Miu makes no sense. Her character makes zero sense. And I mean, she's just there to be vulgar and sexualized.
Mm-hmm.
That's all she's there for.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah. And then there's also the worst of the worst character.
The worst of the worst. Probably the worst video game character I've ever encountered.
Kokichi.
Ugh. Just saying his name makes me like want to throw up in my mouth.
Which like I get that you want to have like a villainous character in your narrative.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But it was just like, here's this guy who is bad for the sake of bad, who keeps getting his way throughout the entirety of the game. And it's just like, by the third or fourth case, I was just like, dude, off. Like,
Right.
I mean, I was waiting for this dude to get his comeuppance, but by that point I was just annoyed, and I could do without that character ever being on screen again.
I agree. And I mean, like, a lot of the time it's just him being obnoxious for the sake of being obnoxious and like trying to steer the trials in weird directions because it makes him like excited.
He's like a 12-year-old.
Yeah. And also it was weird that like he had such an obsession with Kibo's like lack of parts.
He's robophobic.
Well, he is robophobic, but like again about the sexualization, like
True,
Kibo's a robot and you know, he wants to be treated like a person, but to sit there and ask him about like whether or not he has certain equipment is really inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And like he keeps bringing it up. I'm like, okay, I got the joke the first time, my guy.
Yeah.
You can stop making jokes now, my friend. But he's just awful. And then like at the end when it's revealed that he's like a prankster and not any like important character at all. Like he's supposed to be the supreme leader, so you're thinking he's gonna be like an actual villain?
Right. And it's just like, nope, just kidding.
No, he's just a kid who likes to make pranks. And I'm like, none of that was portrayed at all throughout the game. None of it. They tried to make like pass him off as a remnant of despair at one point. I was like, that's not believable.
That was like, like I said, like when they try to reconnect everything back to Who Speak, is like, oh, that's not going to end well. That's bad. That's real unfortunate.
But I mean, he's just consistently a terrible person to every single character. And like, again, I keep bringing up Komaeda. Even Togami could be an example. Like, they're jerks and they're like kind of psycho. Well, in Komaeda's case, he's kind of psycho. But there's redeeming factors to them.
Right.
And then he has none.
Like, I feel like if there was a character, like, the way he acted throughout that game, like, by the time you're in Chapter 3, like, the entirety of the cast would be like, dude, shut the up. No one likes you. Go yourself.
Right. Or, like, I don't know, you're in a killing game. Why not kill that guy? He was awful. And then, like, there's just so much misdirection with him that is really bizarre, and he's responsible for one of the saddest deaths of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Which again doesn't matter because none of it's
all
real.
fake.
But it was the one time that I did. No, I cried twice. But I cried during the trial where he was directly responsible for somebody else dying.
Right.
Because he took advantage of a character who was great and was one of my favorites. And like it was so sad because Gonta the entire time was like, Gonta's not smart. Like Gonta doesn't understand what's happening. Like Gonta literally doesn't remember what happened.
No, because they basically go into like this virtual reality type thing, and he plugs in the cords the wrong way, so like his consciousness and his memories of what happened in there don't get re-uploaded into him. So he basically he does have no idea what happened.
Yeah, which it was kind of tragic and cute though, because they were trying to explain like how he switched the chords, and they were talking about how Himiko was saying, you know, this chord goes in the hand where you hold the chopsticks, and he's like, I hold my chopsticks in my left hand.
She's like, oh no.
It was sad, but that hurt. That was really ridiculous, and he takes advantage of Gonta throughout the narrative of the game. And I felt like that was really unforgivable, and I also was kind of mad at the other characters for not trying to step in.
They just basically let it happen. Like,
yeah,
constantly.
They let it happen every single time, and I'm like, you guys, like, you understand that Gonta is not like, I don't want to say he's dumb, but he's very naive.
Yeah.
And he's just going with all of this, and they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. So like, I felt like they should have stopped that.
Right.
Maxwell agrees.
He's very mad at this game too.
Probably because it made his mom so mad. But I did like Gonta. Gonta was one of the few characters that I was legitimately attached to.
Mm-hmm.
I also did weep a little at the failed execution in the 5th chapter. But then again, they're like, the illness didn't matter. It wasn't real. We just put that in there. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. So, like, they made me feel dumb for caring about anything in this series, and that's not okay.
No, it's pathetic.
And
like I mean, I study literature.
You do.
I know that not every form of media is going to have a happy ending or be what you want it to be or how you want it to end. Like, I understand that. And I understand the way this game ends is not going to be, you know, it's not going to please everybody. But if you're literally going into your ending and just as a creator being like, saying, you know, go yourself to the people who have been with you since day one of these original games and have been very excited for this game, and they're just like, and you're just like, yeah, well, too bad all this stuff was fake. Am I right? That's a real funny joke, right? It's like, no.
Well, and like narratively, it makes no sense because what they show at one point is they're showing the different seasons, and they have 1, they have 2, they have Ultra Despair Girls, they have both of the animes in there, which doesn't make any sense because how would you redo the Despair art?
Right.
Because if you have 2, also nothing in 2 would like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
It just leads itself, like we talked about, like it leads itself to plot holes that totally were not there before.
You can't just like recreate every single one of the characters from 2 into Despair to have another season. Like that doesn't make any sense. And I mean,
it also, like, not to cut you off, but like it almost felt like as well that anytime they talked about supposedly what happened in 3, they always talked around it. So like they were making this game and they still had no idea what happened in 3. So
yeah,
that seems also a little suspect that you would include that into this game when you don't know exactly what happened in that. Like
it was weird.
Mistakes all around.
Yeah, I don't like this game.
No.
I don't like this game. I will not like this game. I'll never play it again. And I hope that it's the last one.
I mean, like we were talking about this earlier, like how, you know, I was less abrasive to the ending originally, but like a couple hours afterwards, like I was literally laying down, getting ready to do like my workout for the evening, and just like I sat there for like maybe like 15 minutes and just like tried to process everything. I was like, that was a very bad ending. Like that was bad. Like that was when it finally clicked for me.
I felt bad because I was so mad at it and you were like okay for the most part. And then like when you came back in, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I get it now. I was like, all right, I feel better.
I mean, like I said, like if they had gone with this route that like, oh, everything's fake, but that's not necessarily true. It was just a way for them to try and get Despair on everyone. It would have been fine. But they went way too far with this whole everything's fake, 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 and it sucks.
It sucks. And I mean, again, they didn't even stick with their final narrative, which was even more obnoxious.
Nope.
Like you negate everything that I cared about, and then you don't even stick to why you negated it. It's dumb.
But I mean, at least when you beat the game, you unlock a cool board game.
I didn't even play that. I took it out as soon as I beat it.
I mean, like the board game was fine. Like it was a way like you basically level up characters in that thing, and then you take them into the dungeon crawler. There's an RPG mode in this as well, but it essentially involves you having characters from all 3 games,
Mm-hmm.
The only bad thing is it's an in-game version of loot boxes.
Ugh.
So the way you get characters from the other games is that you earn coins in the dungeon crawler. You go back and buy you buy cards from various vending machines that represent Danganronpa, Danganronpa 2, and Danganronpa 3. And then there's also there's like separate forms of currency for like if you want to get super rare or ultra rare versions of those cards. I would assume they probably have better stats or something. And obviously those vending machines, they have percentiles of what form of cards you're going to get. So you're just going to get like a normal, a super rare, or an ultra rare essentially. So there's gachapon style mechanics in the game that A, doesn't need them. B, would make sense if like this was like this had microtransactions or something like that. And C, like, why?
Yeah.
And like,
I mean, that's the big thing is why.
And like I said when we were talking about this in the general discussion, that both of those modes just feel kind of monotonous and drawn out as well. Like, in order to level up your character, you have to play the board game 3 times, and you can't back out. And that's kind of like the only cool things about that board game mode is that you get to interact with like characters from the entire franchise. So I was playing as Tenko, and I got to see her interact with Himiko and Chiaki, or her and Sakura when trained. It was cool to see like these characters interacting. But those brief moments, and they're very brief, was not enough to me to like be like, hey, I want to go back and replay that board game mode and go through it 3 times again, and then go into a dungeon crawler that is not great when you only have one character that's leveled up. So you have to go through and basically get cards of people, level them up, do it 3 more times essentially, 3 more times for each character essentially, basically. So you have a party of 4. And then you're supposed to go do the dungeon crawler and get down to like there's a 50th level. You have to go through 50 levels of that.
Ugh.
It's just like that mode could have been very cool.
But it just seems tedious.
It's very, very tedious. And it's just, and of course they also have like a free roam mode if you want to go level up, like hanging out with people, which of course they do, like all the other games have. But yeah, like the card, the board game and the dungeon crawler could have been way cooler if they just did not make them so monotonous.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get a cool book to read at the end of the game either, like the first 2 games. Rude.
No, because none of it was real.
They should have just included a 0 in there.
Oh, God. Just put the 2 worst together. Why not?
It's such a bummer.
It is. I wanted to like this game.
I was so excited for this game.
I was too. I mean, we were both like super stoked for it.
Especially, like we talked about earlier, like Persona 5 was disappointing. We were like, all right, DRV3 is going to pull us out of the mud. And then it's like, it just sunk us in even further.
It's making me appreciate Breath of the Wild more and more.
I mean, a lot of things make me appreciate that game more and more, to be honest. But yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. I'm like, man, isn't it great that like one fantastic game came out this year? Isn't that wonderful?
I mean, there's been a lot of fantastic games that came out this year, to be fair.
No, I mean, that's fair, but like,
but that game in particular,
was in a franchise and all that.
Yeah.
It nailed it.
In a franchise that basically could have gone down the path that this game did.
Yes.
And it completely went the opposite way. Moral of the story, Danganronpa 3, The End of Hope's Peak Academy, is in stores now. Go pick it up.
It is. We both got our copies today.
We did.
And there's commentary, which I haven't looked at yet.
There's 4 episodes that there's commentary on, which is 3 more than the first anime had.
And they even promised more when they finished the first episode.
Sad. I was like, oh man, I want to hear him talk more.
Yeah,
I wonder if it's just like they got the cast for the various arcs to talk on episodes, or if it's just like technical people. Because it doesn't say. We'd have to go watch those to check them out. But yeah.
That's the only real Danganronpa 3.
No kidding, yeah.
Yeah. V3 doesn't exist. Danganronpa 3 is the only Danganronpa 3.
Yeah. Do you even... I mean, this is such a subjective question.
Okay.
Is there any way to come back and make another game like this?
Like another Danganronpa game?
Yeah.
Or... I mean, I don't think so, because at this point you're like, meh.
Unless it's like a new team, maybe? Or if it's just given enough time away. Because, I mean, like, I know it hadn't been like this in Japan because the first game came out in, like, 2010 or something for PSP, and then the Danganronpa 2 also came out on PSP. But it's been kind of strange that, like, Danganronpa, at least here in America, had become kind of like an annualized franchise in a sense, because the first two games came out in 2014 in the same year. Ultra Despair Girls comes out in 2015. DR3 comes out in 2016, and then DRV3 comes out in 2017. So, at least on our side, there would certainly be a little bit of Danganronpa fatigue, and I wouldn't blame anyone for having that, which makes this a little bit, less so because Japan's had a bit of a break between each individual game. So,
like, I was still really, really hyped to play this.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know that it's necessarily fatigue with the series.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's possible to have that, but like, for us, like, no, that wasn't the case. But it might just be a thing where, like, hey, put Danganronpa on ice for a while and then come back to it maybe with like someone else with a new pair of eyes.
But then, like, you also have the potential of, like, well, I was gonna say getting a Final Fantasy 15 Danganronpa, but you kind of already did get that.
The only bad thing is that, like, this game reviewed pretty well.
Oh, it did.
Which is unfortunate for us, because that probably could entail that, like, hey, they're going to make another one of these.
Yeah. And, I mean, that was one thing that I thought was interesting. I posted my review on Facebook, and one of the comments is like, well, that goes against everything I've read. And I'm like, shoot. Like, are we the only two people that don't like this game?
Danganronpa and Danganronpa 2 were fantastic games.
Yeah, they were.
Fantastic stories. And even if, like, we changed the ending of this game to, like, something better, this game is not going to best those two. Like, this is still the weakest game in the series.
Oh, hands down, yes.
So, despite the fact that other people are like, hey, this is the best game in the series. Like, no.
No.
That's not right. I mean, everyone's got their own opinion, but it's whatever.
The opinion of SAC OVA is no.
And then just depressed sides.
Pretty much, yeah.
Is that going to do it for this episode?
I think so.
We're just bummed.
I know. Like, it makes me really, really sad. I wanted it to be good.
What are you going to do? I
don't know. I stayed up until 4 a.m. playing Link to the Past last night.
You did? That sounds pretty fun.
So maybe just make yourself happy by playing something that's actually good.
Go find one of your favorite games and just play that.
Yeah. That's all I recommend.
That'll help you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are literally not going to be talking about Danganronpa in the near future at all, because we have literally talked about all the games and everything in that franchise, except for like the novels and stuff like that. But that's a whole different ball game. And most of those aren't translated, so literally we couldn't talk about them. So
right.
So yeah, that's gonna do it for Danganronpa coverage for a good while, most likely, until the Danganronpa V3 anime.
What a bummer note to end our Danganronpa talks on.
Yep.
But like, Not our fault.
Not our fault. Hey, you want more information from us? Okay.
Are you asking me?
I was
I
hoping
know
for you
about
an
us.
answer, but I'll just have that's the audience answering me there. Go to seasonalanimeCheckup.com or sac.cool for past episodes of this very podcast, like our Danganronpa 3 anime episode, which is the very first episode, our Danganronpa retrospective episode, which we cover the breadth of the series up till this game, and other cool episodes as well that you should check out. There's also columns and reviews up on the site as well. There's also a new mainline Seasonal Anime Checkup podcast up as well that I kind of just did as a whim. Didn't even think to advertise it last week, but it's like, oh yeah, I should probably do this, and I did it. Go to AnneLadyem.com for more from Al. She has her Danganronpa V3 review up on her site if you want to read some more thoughts and opinions from her of what she thought about this game, if you didn't quite get all of it from this episode.
I mean, you do have my Star Wars comparison in there, so there's that.
And she has some other cool stuff up there as well. Jared and I watch Sailor Moon Crystal. That's the podcast that's still happening. You should check that out. Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
You make it sound like this is not happening anymore.
It's still happening right now. You should check that out on the Seasonal Anime Checkup OVA feed. Follow us on Twitter at Anime Checkup. It's where you can find us tweeting and twisting and all sorts of fun stuff like that.
Being spoopy.
Being very spooky. You can also support us, patreon.com/SACOVA. It's a cool place to support us if you aren't so inclined. Next week, we're going to talk about something a little bit more happy, at least something that we like. I mean, it's not necessarily like super, super happy, but we're going to talk about an anime that somehow got a dub 5 years later. And probably one of my favorite animes that's out there.
After watching it, I'm inclined to agree with you.
We're going to talk about one of Kyoto Animation's best shows out there. Well, we're going to talk about Hyoka.
Yep.
Sounds like you're like coughing something up. Hyoka.
Hyoka. Or like a Yiddish curse or something.
Yeah, that too.
But that one's going to be much more positive because I have a lot of more positive feelings on that.
It's true. It's going to be way more positive. So yeah, I look forward to that next week. I think the week after is a little bit up in the air. The week after that is probably going to be potentially Fire Emblem Warriors. And then also beginning of November, sometime in November will be Super Mario Odyssey. We'll talk about that.
Correct.
So that's some things that we're to look forward to. I know you have travel going up at the end of the month, so that's going to make things a little bit weird for our schedule. So
a little bit, but I fully intend on taking Mario with me.
Yeah. So we will get to that. It's, whenevs, especially because I think both Fire Emblem and Mario I know specifically, but I think Fire Emblem as well is like a Friday release, which really hampers how we do things.
Yeah, I mean, usually Nintendo releases on Fridays.
Thanks, Reggie.
Play the game. I'm excited to play those games.
Yeah.
So then eventually we'll have to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
That's going to be December.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying eventually.
Eventually, which, I mean, I
still need to get you to finish the first one.
I mean, that's not going to happen before the second game comes out. Let's be real. But I was going to say, like, I don't know if we're going to be able to beat that game in a week like we usually do. So, like, that might take that might be, like, mid to late December when that episode comes out.
I'm just saying it's something
it's something to look forward to. So, yeah, look forward to those. That's our tentative somewhat schedule that we have for the next, I guess, couple of months, essentially, even though it's not really a lot. But, hey, it is what it is. So, look.
Fine.
Yeah.
This year's almost over.
It is.
Ugh.
So look forward to those. Next week, look forward to us talking about Hyoka. And
I will not be so negative and bummed out next week,
We will not
guys.
be so negative and bummed out. So if you take anything away from this episode, find something positive that you like and cherish it. You will
Yes.
greatly enjoy it, and don't let people tell you it's bad
Or not real.
or not real.
Love the games you love, guys. Love them with all your heart.